Mercedes Monet is making bank. We got Wrestlemania details we're talking about and some controversy with The Rock. You wanted the best, and you got us. This week on Wrestling with the Business.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, please welcome back to the world's greatest internet commentary show for the wrestling community, Wrestling with the Business. I am your host, Jeremy Bodette, the Varsity Athlete, and with me, as always, is my partner in crime, Matthew, the Professor Lambert. Matt, how you doing? Excellent.
Wonderful.
So, we have a lot going on this week. We're on the road to WrestleMania, a mere 2 weeks out from the big two-night special WrestleMania XL. I'm getting excited. I know you're getting excited. Dan is so excited he couldn't even be here. That's how excited Dan is. So we're going to move on without him, just like we do every week. Before we get started, smash that like button. Please place a comment below. Let me know how right I am. Let me know how wrong Matt is about every single thing we talk about here. And we have been posting gauntlet videos, and I have been getting trashed. For those of you that don't know, we've been doing this WWB gauntlet. We pose a question to each one of the hosts. They have 20 seconds.
You are the Divas champ for a reason.
They have 20 seconds to come up with as many answers to the question as they can. Let's see. We did TNA champions last week. What did we do the week before?
WWE World Champions
Yep,
before.
WWE World. And then we did pay-per-views. Yep, that's right. Thank you, producer Steve. It's a lot of fun, except for the fact that I'm losing every week, so we're going to have to come back with some vengeance this week. Are you picking the category, or am I picking?
I'm picking.
Right, because you won, so you get to pick the category. So watch me get my butt kicked again. In the meantime, let's cover some news and rumors. Let's go outside. I've only got one thing to bring up, and it's because heaven help us, the seas have parted, the world has shifted, the Motor City Machine Guns, their contract is up with TNA at the end of this month. Could this be the end of an era in TNA?
I think it's already ended a couple of times. They've been back and forth a while, but...
But they haven't been together.
It's been a few years, yeah.
Could we see them in AEW? I think they could light up.
They
could light up AEW, and AEW's tag team division has been pretty quiet.
Yeah, it needs a little help.
That being said, if I'm TNA, I mean, I just put the belt on and then took it off Alex Shelley.
Right.
So
yeah, were they even a tag team much in the past couple of years since he was world champ?
No, they kind of did their own thing.
That's what I thought. And Saban had the X Division championship for a while, too, I think.
For quite a while, actually. He hung on to that belt for a tick, for a hot minute. Longer than Shelley had the championship. Wow. So, I mean, I have to imagine TNA re-signs them, but one interesting thing to note is that TNA kind of airing away from the full-time contract model that they've been on for a while. So thinking this might be part of the changing of the guard, as it were, with Scott D'Amore being gone. They're doing more of a per-night, per-diem type situation, which kind of...
Isn't that more expensive?
I guess it depends on the nature of the contract and how much you use somebody. I mean, if you think of a guy like PCO, probably don't really need him on a full-time contract. You probably just say, hey, we'll use you 20 times this year or something. Sure. You pick the 2 or 3 pay-per-views you want to really push him on, give him a couple of weeks to put something together, a storyline together with somebody, and then let him go, you know? But yeah, I mean, whoever your champion is, obviously you're going to want your champion to be signed full-time, doing everything that you need him to do. I mean, anybody that's holding a belt is going to want to have a champion or a full-time contract, anybody that's holding a belt. But outside of them, I mean, Speedball's been on there a lot more lately. We've seen him a lot more. But like guys like Bully Ray, you know, he's in and out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but it struck me as very interesting that, I mean, if I'm Alex Shelley or Chris Sabin, I don't know if I would take anything that wasn't a full-time contract. I feel like I could go to AEW and get a full-time contract. I could go to NXT and get a full-time contract, I think, right now. I mean, they carry enough weight. They've got enough history. They're both talented enough.
Alex Shelley did come in to NXT briefly for like the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. He just came in just for that
And if
span of time.
If my options are per night contract on TNA and a full-time contract almost anywhere else, I'm taking that full-time contract.
Yeah.
Especially if it isn't WWE, because their stipulations are ridiculous, you know.
Right.
As far as the nights that they want. You know, you're going to be at every live event, you know. So, I don't know. Lord only knows, but wishing the best. I'd like to see him stay in TNA. Because I selfishly want to see them on May 3rd or May 4th. Selfishly.
This is true.
Okay, let's get WWE out of the way. We're not going to jam it all in at the end. Let's talk about WWE right now. Let's make a WWE sandwich with a little frosting on top. So, we talked a few weeks ago about a changing of the guard, about how there's going to be some new production work. I remember Dan said, yeah, I kind of noticed some differences the way the camera changed. I was watching Monday Night Raw, and they did something that I've never seen before. They were doing a spot where Sami Zayn and Gunther were in the ring. They were doing a promo together. Zayn storms off into the back at the end of the promo. The camera follows him, and so you're thinking, oh man,
Something's gonna happen.
What's
to
going to
Zayn.
happen? You know, because Sammy's kind of losing his temper or whatever. Yeah, what's it? The camera's following him. Takes him through gorilla position into the back, and you can see him approaching a group of people. And you're thinking, oh, he's going to push somebody out of the way, or they're going to set up some feud. Maybe it's going to be a triple threat. I mean, my mind is going a million miles an hour. He pushes past, and it's Awesome Truth. And they're in full getup, and it immediately stops with Zayn continuing walking, and now we're doing basically a little pre-promo with Awesome Truth in the back. And they're like, hey, let's go. And the camera follows them all the way back out into their entrance, into the ring. I don't think it breaks again until they're almost to the ring. It was one continuous shot.
Wow.
Maybe
that is different.
3 minutes. It was engaging. It was interesting. It really evens out the transitions, because you get this urge of just like, yeah, I'm going to click away. Mm-hmm. Like, oh yeah, even if they don't go to commercial, you're like, oh, okay, that's it. That's what I wanted to see. Oh, I wanted to see Gunther and him. It takes you right smoothly into the next thing, and it's a great way to transition into your middle card match, because that was the middle card match. That was 100% the middle card match. Mm-hmm. That was the qualifier for the WrestleMania, the six-way ladder match. That was the qualifier, and it was like them against the
DIY.
No, DIY already qualified. It was the Indian team, the Indian tag team.
Oh, Indus Sher.
Indus Sher, yes,
Yeah.
Thank you. It was them versus Indus Sher. Very good. I mean, this could be industry changing, in my opinion. I mean, I
don't recall seeing something like that before.
I would want to see that all the time, at least once an hour. Anytime you're doing a transition and not going to commercial, you should do something like that. You should map it out and have it blocked out like that. That was the right way to do it. So very impressed. Huge props.
Definitely don't overuse it, though. That could get stale very quickly.
First time I saw it. Again, if you're transitioning into a mid-card match and you want to keep people from clicking away or from turning the channel, that's exactly what I would do. Because it was like before I knew it, I was in another match, and I may as well stay and see what the match does. You know what I'm saying? It's very interesting. So there's a little backstage drama going on right now relative to The Rock, who seems to be trying to stir up as much stuff as he can. Some use of profanity on air. There were some rumors that Fox is maybe giving some pushback, doesn't like the fact that The Rock's been sort of a little more, what's the word I want to use? Open with his language, I guess.
Crass.
Crass would be a polite way to say it. Regarding the recent report about The Rock's profanity use on WWE and social media, this is from the man Dave Meltzer himself. He said that talent are upset about being held to a double standard at a PG company, saying that basically The Rock can do whatever he wants because he sits on the board.
And everyone else is handcuffed.
So he is the board, and that the entire team, the team of representatives that he surrounds himself with, who handle any of the issues, are saying that they want to stay out of the mess. So, I don't know. I guess he's the pretty boy. I don't know if this is a work. If this is just trying to put more heat on The Rock.
Well,
However, Fox doesn't seem upset about it, at least according to Meltzer.
right,
Fox
yeah,
doesn't care.
that from the reports I heard, all of that was pre-approved with Fox, so they were fine with it. And on Raw this week, Cody Rhodes' rebuttal also had some harsh language in it too,
That's true.
to keep him looking strong. So he got the okay to do that also.
Getting a little
So-
intense, for sure.
Yeah, I understand. People might be, some of the other wrestlers might be upset about it because they don't have the same freedom, but at the same time, no one else is on the level of The Rock, even though he's been gone for 20 years or whatever it is.
And it's kind of weird to me because he really wasn't having trouble getting heat.
No.
And yet he's doing this. So I'm not sure. He's doing the Hollywood Rock thing. He's getting heat. Maybe they're just trying to take it up a notch in the couple of weeks leading up to it.
Or maybe he just wanted to do it.
This does draw a very interesting connection to something else that actually just broke today. And that is Wheatley American Vodka is the official vodka sponsor of WrestleMania XL. If you're not following Wrestling with the Business on Twitter, you need to. On X, previously known as Twitter. At Wrestle with Biz, check it out. This was broken by Steve Fall. My thought. We all kind of talked about this with the integration of UFC. I think I mentioned it a week or two ago on the show, saying a lot of booze sponsors, a lot of Modelo, a lot of Bud Light going around. How long before we see the great PG brand get corrupted by some type of alcohol promotion? And sure enough, within a week or two of me saying that, we have an official vodka brand for WrestleMania.
I'm actually surprised they didn't go with The Rock's tequila.
I wonder if there isn't some kind of conflict of interest or something like that stops them.
Maybe.
Or maybe Wheatley American Vodka is willing to give an arm or a leg. I mean, if you think about it, that means that this is going to be the only vodka that's sold in any alcohol-related event for the entire week of WrestleMania. The sales could be huge off of it. Certainly the promotion and the branding, I'm sure they're going to have a spot on the apron. I'm sure maybe they're going to get a spot next to Prime on the canvas. They're going to get all the stuff that comes along with it. I'm sure we're going to have the Wheatley American Vodka Uso versus Uso battle or whatever, however they decide to try and brand it.
Has WWE ever had an alcohol or beer or whatever sponsor them before?
No, I don't think so.
This is the first time ever.
I don't
That's what
think
thought.
so. Especially in the age, in the Attitude Era, okay, the beer truck in Albany, right?
But I don't think it had any name on it or anything.
I think it said Bud Light.
Did it?
On the truck. But the Attitude Era, that was what, 99 when that happened?
98.
Wasn't an explicit promotion. Again, Stone Cold comes out, cracks the beers or whatever, but it wasn't an explicit promotion. This is like the company associating with alcohol, and this is supposed to be the PG brand. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It strikes me as, I don't know, off-brand, I guess is the easiest way to put it. I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of it, but it just struck me by, we've got The Rock's profanity picking up, we've got alcohol sponsorships, we've got AEW, which has always tried to brand itself as something different than WWE because we can be edgier, we can say profanity, we can bleed on television, we can do all this kind of stuff. We see a little bit of, again, I'm going to use the word, a little bit of bleeding here between the two brands, a little bit of intermixing where it seems like WWE's maybe, I guess cynically I think it's for the almighty dollar. They're just doing it to collect the money, and they know that booze sponsorships are going to, booze and cars are the two huge sponsorships you can get, and I don't know who's going to be the official convertible of WrestleMania or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It seems like there's very little opportunity for it. So, I don't know, struck me as interesting. Maybe there's some type of branding change coming, I guess, for WWE. Moving on, speaking of contract changes, which is very interesting. So Shayna Baszler has been announced for a Bloodsport event. Is it in Philadelphia? I don't think it's in Philadelphia, but it is WrestleMania weekend.
It's WrestleMania weekend. It's for Bloodsport's Josh Barnett's.
So this is just so everybody's clear, if you're not on the inside, this is a non-WWE event.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this is the first time that a wrestler under full-time contract with WWE has gone to perform with the blessing of the power. I mean, we've had people
not the first
walk
time. A year or so ago, I think it was last year, Shinsuke Nakamura went and faced Great Muta in his retirement run. And then somebody else shortly before that also went out. Can't think of it now. But this is the first time it's been for a non-wrestling company. And certainly not a company that's has ties to WWE. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just showing WWE. Yes. Dave Meltzer wrote that allowing a WWE contracted wrestler to work the WrestleMania week indie show was Triple H's call. Quote, Triple H has a different view on these things than Vince McMahon had.
And I think, if I understand it correctly, this isn't exactly a pro wrestling promotion either. It's much more MMA, but I think it's still staged.
I think the question becomes, and again, we talked about changes, specifically about changes in front of the camera, The Rock's profanity, the use of alcoholic sponsors. This is more behind the camera. Is this going to open talent up for other opportunities, especially during the biggest weekend of the year? Mm-hmm. If you are talent and you know that you aren't going to be working WrestleMania because you're not getting the push, does this represent an opportunity for you? Especially given the fact that WWE seems to be laying the groundwork with New Japan, with other promotions, especially strong independent promotions, yep. TNA, especially strong independent promotions out there. This could generate an opportunity for people and might eliminate one of the weaknesses, which is kind of like the golden handcuffs that WWE puts you in.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it should. We've been saying it for years. It doesn't hurt WWE to have their wrestlers show up in other places, saying this is WWE wrestler, this is former women's champion, whatever.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that really scared people away from it was because Vince would want to micromanage the image of the wrestler so tightly. Yeah, and he would never want to see his wrestler lose.
I don't even know if it was that. I think Vince just really did not want to acknowledge anyone that could be even remotely considered competition.
Yeah.
He was in his own universe, in his own bubble. It was WWE and nothing else.
Yeah. But if he did, and I think this is why he fought so hard with guys like Hogan and Slaughter and Roddy Piper and all these guys that tried to go out on their own and make something outside of WWF, was because Vince wasn't even comfortable with them being in movies because he couldn't control the image.
Right.
He didn't like Thunder Lips. He didn't like that name. So he didn't want, as an example, so he didn't want Hogan performing as Thunder Lips because he thought, oh, it makes him look stupid or it makes him look weak or it's dumb or whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Again, I could see from a wrestling standpoint why he'd want to stick to his own universe, but when it comes to even stuff that helps promote the brand or promote the institution of professional wrestling, I'm much more. If I was him, I'd be much more concerned about my guy losing to a midget, losing to some midget clown or something like that,
right? And
then coming back to my promotion, holding the world championship belt.
And along with this, a couple weeks ago, they also mentioned Sting on air and his retirement match in AEW.
Michael Cole did. Yep. Didn't say AEW, but mentioned that he retired.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, acknowledgement of something.
Yeah, that never would have happened a year ago.
Very interesting. I mean, it's starting kind of subtly. It's kind of subtle, and if you don't really know the inside baseball, you might not notice it, but it seems like it's continuing to grow. So, ultimately, this stuff like this helps stave off unionization efforts, too. Okay, injury updates. So, with WWE, we have two. We have Miss Asuka, unfortunately. out with the knee injury.
Those women's tag titles are cursed.
They are cursed. Yeah, I'd be running from them.
Jeez.
So yeah, she's holding the title right now. It looks like it's not going to be defended. It's not on the WrestleMania card, which would mean it's probably the only title not on the WrestleMania card.
What they should do is, if Dakota Kai is healthy enough, she's been out injured for nearly a year now, but she's been on TV. Have her step in, yeah. It's what they do with groups like that, with multiple
They do
wrestlers.
kind of do that, yeah.
Do a Freebirds rule and have her step in.
What they're saying is that they don't know. There's no reports as to how serious the knee injury is, so I guess nobody's panicking. Maybe they're going to wait another week or two and see for sure. They can always throw it in last minute. Obviously, the big match is going to be with Bayley. You know, the big women's, the big damage control match, I guess, is going to be that match. So, not a lot of weight on it. It's going to be a mid-card WrestleMania, even if it does happen. And believe it or not, who says GMing is not a full contact sport? Look out, Dan. Nick Aldis damaged his bicep, which actually required surgery. So I
assume he must have been working out. He definitely wasn't in the ring.
The Blue Brands GM has been out. Luckily, he's not going to miss any TV time. Can you imagine if he's like holding the microphone in his other hand? But no, he's not going to miss any TV time. No struggles there. Last but not least, on news and rumors, this one just came out within the last, I think, 24 or 36 hours. Ronda Rousey is making the rounds, as it were. She is pushing a new book whose title I cannot remember. I'm sorry, I did see it, but I can't remember the title. That is set to come out in the next couple of months. And she is shooting hard on WWE.
Yeah.
She really is not, and I'm gonna read a couple of direct quotes. Some of these come from the book, and some of these are just interviews that she's done.
The name of the book is Our Fight.
Our Fight. I'm just gonna read a direct quote she gave in an interview where she was asked about beef between MMA fighters and whether it's real. She said, quote, "In MMA, I originally just started beef for publicity, but those other bleep did not get the memo, and so it got really personal. And in WWE, it's all fake. I love them, except for Bruce Pritchard and John Laurinaitis. They can go F themselves. That's real." So, not really holding back. Of course, going after John Laurinaitis is kind of like, that's pretty, not a lot of danger there. One other quote about expectations as far as the book. I'm going to read it here. Quote, "How much of an absolute shit show it is at WWE, because they can't hold a sword over my head and hold me hostage with my own career, and I don't need anything from them, and I don't intend on going back. So I can actually say everything that I think and I feel where everybody else is, that they're still being held captive by the organization, and they cannot." So the message here is, this is, I think, some of what we've been waiting for, some of what I think Dan's been waiting for. Do I think she has any kind of real inside baseball as far as the Janelle Grant claims and other things like that? No, but she can certainly speak to the environment, and I have been reading some other quotes from her that do outline that there is I believe she called it a casting couch environment, in which if you're going to get a push, there's an expectation that you perform, I guess, as it were, for lack of a better word. So I don't read too many wrestling books, but this one might be one that I actually pick up.
Technically, it's not even really a wrestling book, I don't think.
No, it's a biography, but they're all biographies. They're all writing. Yeah. Nobody inside the industry seems to write very much about the industry. They like to write about themselves, and then in a 250 or a 300-page book, we can glean 10 pages. But this was not read in advance by WWE. Obviously, she's bound by her NDAs and stuff like that, so there's going to be certain things, but I'm sure the lawyers at the publisher have reviewed it.
And she did specifically say Triple H was a decent enough guy, and good to work with, but she didn't really have much nice else to say about anyone else.
My guess is she actually, I do remember reading a lot of, she hates Bruce Pritchard. She hates Bruce Pritchard.
When the lawsuit came out, she said he was Vince McMahon's avatar.
Yeah, basically Vince's avatar, and that just because Vince is gone doesn't mean he's gone, because Bruce Pritchard is still there. So it'll be interesting to read it. I think I'm probably going to check it out. Just because I when she says that she's not held hostage, I believe her. And so much of the writing is people that are held hostage. So many people that are married to the industry because they don't have a life outside of the industry. And so because of that, even after the juggernauts of the industry, like Rock and Stone Cold and one day John Cena and Undertaker, these guys that have written before, you're still not going to get an honest take, No. The closest we might get is like a Bret Hart, which is great, but he's still got his own personal biases that are dripping with it, and his own old school sort of rivalries and hatreds, and you can never really tell what's a work and a shoot. I don't think this is a work from her. I think this all is shoot stuff. So maybe that adds a taste of validity to it, maybe, that I can say with some confidence that I'm not reading BS,
Right.
Okay, AEW. I want you to talk about this a lot more with me. So earlier this week, the news leaked that Mercedes Monet, is, quote, all about that bag. She was asked about an incredible 8-figure payment from AEW. So a couple things have been confirmed. One, it's an 8-figure salary, 8-figure money.
10 million plus.
10 million plus. Two, it's a multi-year deal with AEW.
Figure at least 3 to 5, probably.
And, she basically confirmed that it was the money, that she signed it for the money. She's all about that. That's what she was interested in and why she signed it.
That I didn't hear.
Yeah, she was basically, that's part of the all about getting that bag. She was quoted multiple times.
And that wasn't in character?
Basically, again, that's, you don't know. That's the thing, right? When are they working and when are they shooting? You don't know. That's all part of it. But it would make her by far the highest paid female worker in the industry right now.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
We were talking before the show. In 2019, you and I did a video where we did salaries for all WWE wrestlers. And the highest paid female then was Ronda Rousey, and it was less than $2 million. 1.6 or something along those lines. And the highest paid man was Brock Lesnar with $12 million.
Yeah, something like that. Not to mention all the perks.
Yeah. So yeah, if she's making 10 million plus now, yeah, that's by far the most.
One quick side note. That conversation took place in 2019. It makes you wonder what other, that was right before the Janelle Grant stuff involving Brock Lesnar. So you wonder what other perks came with that job for Mr. Lesnar that maybe we couldn't outline. So, anyways.
If I can find that video, we'll link it in the description below. Definitely go check it out.
But I can remember, I think Becky
Yep.
was up there around $1 million. I think Charlotte was up there.
I think Charlotte was more than Becky, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
but it was around $1 million. I think Charlotte might have been. It's between $750 and $1.25 million, somewhere in that $1 million range. And then there were a crap ton of women that were down, like
500 and
less. Lower six figures. There were a lot of women that sat in that $100,000 to $250,000 mark. So in a mere 4.5 years. And this is the minor league promotion. So again, we talk and people talk like, oh, why isn't AEW doing well? And it's like, guys, look at who they're signing. Look at we just had Okada's numbers leak, and he's making millions and millions of dollars.
Yep. Will Ospreay.
We don't know what he was making, but it's easy to presume if Okada's making this much, now. Ospreay did say that he liked the schedule on AEW better, so maybe he got outbid, or maybe AEW actually got outbid by WWE, because I can't imagine WWE can't match that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But they'd expect more from him. You know, I don't know, but the other thing is that you don't know. If it's a 4-year deal and she makes 1, 2, then 3, then 4, there's your $10 million. And, you know, it's a lot of money, but it's taking you a long time to get there. You got to do a lot of work. You got a lot of risk to injury. She's 32?
Somewhere around there.
She's in her early 30s at this point. So, you know, how deep into your 40s can you go? Female, male, high flyer, or, heavy hand. Yeah, I just you can't go that deep into the industry. So it just makes you wonder. I think this is one of those instances where the terms really make a huge difference on it. Is she making 2.5 a year? Is she making 4 a year? Is it escalating? How much of that's actually guaranteed? All that stuff. How many times are we going to see her? Are we going to see her at the smaller, like lower end pay-per-views? I mean, obviously, I'm pretty confident we're going to see her at Forbidden Door because they're going to want to get a lot of buys over in Japan, and obviously
Dynasty's the next one.
Dynasty's the next one, but I mean, at Forbidden Door, she's for sure going to be on that card. I mean, how do you not have her on an NJPW partnership card?
Right.
So she's going to get used. Is she going to get used on every? What's the arrangement? That's where that kind of stuff really starts to make a difference. It's the same thing with Adam Copeland. There's no amount of money you can throw at that guy to make him happy. You have to give him the freedom to do what he wants to do.
Right.
And let him. Same thing with Danielson, right? You gotta let him have the dream matches that he wants to have, because that's what he's interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to see what happens, but that is astounding, and I think could be a real sea change for the industry if stuff like that continues. Because if I'm Charlotte Flair, and I'm healthy,
right,
I'm thinking
she's making this much over here. How much you gonna give me to stay?
I'm thinking, my daddy's over there. He's got a good deal. Andrade just came from there. He seemed to have a pretty decent run.
I don't know about that one, but
he had some crazy matches that I appreciate. All right, let's move on.
He had a good run to the fans, not.
The sun may finally be setting on Jim Ross's storied career. So, update on JR.
Yep.
They took him off weekly television a while ago. Actually, I think it was
yes.
after his stroke, right around the time of his stroke. And we all knew he was going. Mm-hmm. He was one of the last great boomer commentators.
Bringing him in for the big matches. He commentated Sting's retirement.
I mean, basically, if you're anything like me, him and Mike Tenay and Tony Schiavone are it's like the sound. It's like my childhood.
Oh yeah.
Those three voices represent my childhood.
Throw in Jerry.
Throw
in King and Bobby Heenan too.
Throw in Jerry the King and Bobby the Brain occasionally. I mean, that's like the voice of our childhood. And he really is the last one. Obviously, Tenay and Schiavone are still there, but he kind of is
Tenay, he's been out of it, but...
he's the godfather of it.
Absolutely.
You're right. Tenay did a little bit of work on the indie circuit, but he's mostly in Vegas doing his gambling stuff now. They brought him back. He's on a year-to-year contract. They're only bringing him back for pay-per-views. He's kind of only doing the main event. He did Sting's last match. Mm-hmm. This is the right way that you do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he's making. I don't care how much he's making. It really doesn't matter. He's the kind of guy you do overpay.
Yeah, we even said when he started in AEW, we thought it was going to be great, but when he was doing full-time, even we were saying, okay, he's got to step away. It's getting to be a little much.
It's too much.
Bringing him in once in a while for the big stuff, that's perfect.
Having him come back, do commentary on an Edge in a Christian match or some other big-time main event could be really beneficial.
Yep.
I want to know one thing that struck me this week, and I'm going off script here a little bit. This past week, was the first week, and you'll correct me on this, I know you will, but I'm pretty sure it's the first week in the last 5 years since AEW was founded that not a single one of the 4 pillars was an active member of the AEW roster. Guevara's on suspension.
Since Darby's gone now, yep.
Darby's
MJF
climbing Mount Everest.
Gone, Jack Perry's gone.
MJF and Jack Perry's wrestling with that JPW.
You might be right.
And even if you want to count Britt Baker, what the hell is she doing?
Yep.
I mean, She hasn't wrestled in how long? She's injured, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I thought I heard that.
That's what I heard too. She's on the injury list, but she might just be taking time off.
I will say she is very active on social media and kind of sensitive. She's a little sensitive. She's a little touchy on social media. Yeah, Britt's a little touchy on social media. So that just struck me.
You might be right about that.
You know, we talked about how AEW has kind of maybe outgrown Jericho. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering...
And he was still getting booed this weekend, even in Canada.
I wonder if the four pillars are maybe becoming a little irrelevant. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of erosion. You know, we're waiting to see what happens with MJF.
Yeah.
It just struck me as the company's growing.
Yeah,
I guess
you could be right.
Is what it comes down to. And well, I hope a guy like MJF ends up like the Sting of AEW, where he's just a company man that's committed to it and is there forever.
I mean, if we actually go back and look, like during the pandemic and everything, I'm sure there were Dynamite episodes where those guys weren't on it. But when you break it down like that, yeah, you're probably right.
Well, I'm talking about not on the active roster.
Right.
Not on the active roster.
So not just on the show, but yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I mean, MJF hasn't posted to X since the end of the year, since his contract expired. He's full on blackout mode. So I keep verifying that every couple of weeks because it astounds me.
He lives the gimmick, man.
Lives it. Gotta love it. Okay, last topic for AEW. So Dynamite and Rampage aired back to back. First Dynamite, then Rampage, Wednesday night. 3:20.
Rampage was live.
Rampage was live, which is the way that they tape it every week. Rampage comes right afterwards, and then they air Rampage later. Okay. I heard a little birdie told me that this was a little test run on a potential 3-hour Dynamite block, which was something that Tony Khan years ago
was against.
Kind of nay-nayed and was like, no, we're not doing this.
Ugh.
But I heard this is from Brandon Thurston.
Have the ratings come out yet?
I have not seen the ratings yet. Obviously, you're going to get a torrential fall off. But
yeah, I didn't stay up to watch Rampage. I was out.
That Dynamite got a lot of love online, and I haven't watched the whole Dynamite yet. I've seen a lot of clips from it, but I mean, I was on X while it was airing, and I was getting. People were putting up polls, is this the best Dynamite ever?
Interesting.
And they were getting like 70% yeses on that.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's a lot of love.
Looks like the ratings just came out.
Oh, and?
Dynamite did 800,000.
You're a little below average.
Rampage did 541.
Whoa, big increase.
Yep, and the
big increase
18 to 49 Dynamite was 0.27 and Rampage was 0.18. Right?
That's a huge.
Yeah.
That's a huge increase for them.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That's a huge increase for
Collision them. Last week did less than 400. That's not good.
Yeah, Collision's been in the 300, low 400 range for a long time, so that's huge for Rampage. I mean, we all knew Friday night at 10 o'clock is a terrible spot.
Yeah.
So some of that is just where you're getting placed, but.
So if then they look at this and say, okay, 3 hours works, let's do a 3-hour show, are they going to still do Rampage on Friday or get rid of it?
I'm going to say the same thing I've been saying. I don't care what you do with Dynamite. You can make it 3. You can keep it at 2. You need to give Rampage a better spot. I think Friday's a bad spot. I think you gave it... You put it there.
Once SmackDown moves, I mean, we assume they're leaving Fridays when they switch channels.
There's going to be more flexibility in a year when we see Raw go to Netflix. We see whatever happens with NXT and the CW. There's going to be a little bit of a shakeup. Wherever Rampage ends up, you make it ladies' night. You give the women their own show. 1 hour. You give the women 1 hour a week for a year and see what happens.
And still have women's matches on the other shows.
You can... What it allows you to do is right now you get like 1 women's match a show. Mm-hmm. So that's 3 women's matches a week. And you have a roster of dozens and dozens of incredibly talented women. This gives you an opportunity to have that same one match a week. Fine, give the women 45 minutes of airtime across the other 5 hours. But now we have 1 hour where it's just women. And it's wrestling. It's wrestling. It's tight. Keep it tight. You jam 4 or 5 matches in there. No squashes. No throwaways. Tight promos. Pre-record the videos. You can record it after Dynamite, and you can air it however long afterwards you want to, the next night or whatever makes sense. But don't put it on Dynamite's back. Don't have it airing at 10 o'clock. Don't have it airing at noon on a Tuesday or something like that. Give the women a genuine shot. That's what I would do with it. That's what makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would do with it if I could. I don't think it really matters what you do with Dynamite. I think you could pitch it as 3. You could pitch it as 2. You know, you're going to see a fall off, but not that bad. Honestly, if you told me they would do 550 at the end, because they taper off anyways.
Right.
They average 8, but there's only 650,000. You telling me you can get 90% of the viewership to carry over from 9 o'clock or from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock? That's pretty damn good, you know?
Yeah.
That's better than you'd get by doing a replay of Payback or whatever movie you're going to play, you know? All right. Let's do our deep dive here. We're on the road to WrestleMania. We are 2 weeks out, and I was confused about the card, and I follow this stuff. So I figure anybody that might be watching is going to be really, really confused about it, and I know you're really confused about it. So I thought we would just run through the current card, what we currently know, and our thoughts on it, so that we can hopefully taint the opinions of anybody that chooses to watch the show. So, right now, we have a guaranteed for night 1. We have 2 matches guaranteed for night 2. We got a bunch of TBDs. I've heard that they're targeting 14 matches total, 7 a night.
Okay, that's not bad.
7 a night. Obviously, there's going to be ridiculous video packages for each one. Obviously, we're going to have some stupid Grayson Waller effect or something like that. We're going to have the Hall of Fame inductions. We're going to have the pre-shows, which I don't think they're counting for the 14 matches. So if there's a WrestleMania pre-show, there'll be some Battle Royale or something like that, whatever they choose to do to fill time.
Maybe. They only just started doing pre-show matches.
None of that counts. This is just from the beginning of the official WrestleMania show to the main event at night 2. So they're targeting 14 matches.
Okay.
Night 1, we have Rock and Reigns versus Rhodes and Rollins. The Pirate match. The Pirate match. That is so it's a stipulation match contingent on night 2. So remember, we've been talking for weeks now, like, how are you going to make night 1 matter when night 2 is for the belt?
Right.
So that tag match is going to determine the stipulation for night 2. So this will determine whether the Reigns versus Rhodes match is a Bloodline is barred from ringside, or whether it's a Bloodline rules match.
And what's a Bloodline rules match?
That, my friend, is a very, very good question. I knew, and now I'm looking it up very quickly, because it was basically something that was just made up, and I knew what it was.
No DQ.
That's kind of the standard thing, right?
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm having a little bit of an issue here. A Bloodline rules match will be an Anything Goes showdown. That's straight from the Knight's words of Paul Heyman. So my guess is...
Anything goes. Okay.
So if it's an Anything Goes match, then I'm going to call it now. Rock Reigns goes over. Night 2, main event.
Anything goes, and you think Cody is going to beat all the odds?
I think we are going to see somebody that we haven't seen in a hot minute. A CM Punk. Somebody's going to come out from the back.
Maybe Dustin shows up.
We could see a Money in the Bank. Someone could turn in their briefcase at the right opportunity.
I don't like any of those.
Okay. But it's the only way to get your stars back out there for night 2.
Right.
And that's really what they're trying to do. They're trying to milk their stars for everything they can. If Bloodline's barred from the side, you got no Paul Heyman, you got no Rock, you got no Solo Sikoa, you got no Uso, what do you got? You got a boring match compared to what could be if you got the Rock ringside during that match, hurling baseball bats into the ring and doing whatever he's going to do. So that's my personal opinion. Night 2, obviously, Reigns versus Rhodes, singles match for the Universal Championship. And then Rollins versus McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. Not a lot of mystery there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we don't know where these are going to be, but we know that they're happening. Io Sky versus Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship.
Yep.
Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch for the Women's World Championship. Gunther versus Sami Zayn for the IC title. Judgment Day versus DIY versus Awesome Truth versus The New Day and 2 additional teams in a 6-pack ladder match for the Undisputed Tag Team Championship. This one's going to be an hour-long spot fest.
Yeah.
I look at it on paper, it looks kind of interesting and kind of exciting to me. Makes me think of like TLC and Money in the Bank and that kind of stuff. And I got to tell you,
not thrilled with it.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of setting up for big spots and a lot of chaos. It's going to be very confusing. The cameras aren't going to keep up. I feel like it's just going to make me nauseous. Then LA Knight versus AJ Styles. Why?
It'd be a good match.
Why?
Because he's LA Knight.
Yeah! That needs to be the rule. Anytime Steve says LA Knight, we have to go, yeah!
I think that is the rule.
Let's not tell Dan, though.
He doesn't watch this show.
Let's not tell Dan. So he'll be really confused. Then we have Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso in a singles match. They need to put a stipulation on that. And then Logan Paul versus Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens in a triple threat match for the U.S. title. So, as the card stands, what's your favorite right now? What's your on paper?
I mean,
what's the match of the PPV? What's the match of the PLE?
I would say probably the Gunther match, but I would prefer it was Gable over Zayn. Honestly.
I'd prefer it was almost anyone besides Sami Zayn. Does anybody think Sami Zayn's going to win that belt? How disappointed are you going to be if Sami Zayn wins that belt?
I mean, I like Sami Zayn. It would be a cool moment, but I think Gable deserves it more.
Has he held the title before? The IC title?
Zayn, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah. The Rhea Ripley Becky Lynch match, that'll be good. Io Sky and Bayley, that'll be good. I don't really care about the tag match. I don't really care about the Uso match. I don't care about the U.S. title match. The
Frankly,
LA Knight AJ Styles match will be a decent match, but I don't know why it's on this card.
There's really no heat behind it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no heat behind it. A couple of tweeners. That's really what they are at this point.
Is AJ a heel now or what?
No, ever since he came back from injury last time, they've been doing like a tween thing. They don't really know what to make of him. You know, he doesn't have really a faction anymore.
Right. Yeah, where are the Good Brothers?
They got released, I think.
What's her name?
And yeah, she
got released? Did they?
She got injured. I mean, if they here's what I'll say. I'm talking a little bit out of turn here. If they haven't been released, they better be like Braun Strowman injured. By the way, when's he coming back? Be interesting to have Braun Strowman ringside if there's a rules match. Mishin is who you're thinking of.
Yeah, all I can think of is her indie name, Jade. They are still in WWE, looks like.
Well, I don't know what the heck they're doing. They must be doing only the live shows. Because
they returned to WWE in 2022. They're still there.
You're talking about Gallows and
Anderson.
And yes. Anderson. I mean, so yeah, they're doing like a tweener thing. I mean, he hasn't come out with them at all. They've been doing. I haven't even seen him on TV. He'll sometimes interact with her, or you'll see her come out with AJ. But I haven't seen the other two at all. I thought they
weird.
released him. Yeah, and I think that night versus... I mean, I think the worst match of the night is going to be the Ripley versus Lynch match.
You think that's going to be the worst?
The way the card reads right now, I think it's going to be the worst. And the worst match, like even if I was there live. Because I'm not going to like the six-pack ladder match. One, because I love ladder matches. And two, it's going to make me nauseous. But that has nothing to do with what's going on in the ring, really. Right? I think what's going on in the ring, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch, is there's a huge size differential. It's going to pull me out of kayfabe big time. Rhea Ripley is so much better than almost every other woman that's performing right now. I don't think Becky Lynch is nearly as good as she is. I think you need a Cargill. You need a Charlotte. Where's Jade Cargill?
Where's Cargill?
Where's Jade Cargill?
She was supposed to be in the chamber originally.
Where's Jade Cargill?
Oh my gosh.
They have used her a grand total of once in the Royal Rumble since they signed her 6 months ago out from underneath AEW. It's like sometimes you take something just because you don't want the other guy to have it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Maybe they knew that there was going to be... Boy, if you're Jade Cargill right now and you're not injured and you're seeing what AEW is doing with that women's division
if
right
they're
now...
paying her well, she's getting paid to stay home. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, listen, no hate on that. I just wish she would come out and publicly say something like that if that's the case. Or I wish somebody would ask her about it, like, hey, what the heck? All right, last question before we go off air here. What match is missing here? What would we add? What's missing here? What do we need to see that we're not seeing? I mean, obviously you could change a million things here.
Yeah, they got all the belts, so...
Is there anything you want to add outside of the belts? I mean, you obviously have to. There's something there.
Yeah, I want to see Hulk Hogan versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Make it happen. This is WrestleMania XL. Make it extra large.
You laugh, but Stone Cold was on Raw.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I guess I gotta start watching
You need
Raw.
to at least watch the highlights, dude. You gotta at least
Seriously.
take 20 minutes and watch the highlights, please.
I hear the recaps. I didn't hear that at all.
Who's Logan Paul fighting at WrestleMania?
Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. It's three
For the
way.
years, it's a rework of the USA Championship at
I mean,
Royal Rumble.
yeah, even the Bloodline tag match, I'm not really all that interested in. The whole thing about that match will be to see if Rock can still go.
We're gonna see some filler here. There's gonna be some kind of a Royal Rumble gauntlet, something or other. There's gonna be something like that.
How about bringing back the...
Because all the mid-carders have got to come back and do something.
when was the last time they did the Andre the Giant Battle Royal?
That's what I was thinking.
It's been a couple years.
As part of like the pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would
do a
be,
women's Battle Royal too. That way you can get Jade in and have her dominate.
I mean, I don't see Bianca Belair on here.
Yeah.
So I think Jade Cargill, that's what I think. Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair. That's the match that I think
that'll be
that's
an added match. Yep.
going to get added that hasn't got. I'm calling it right now. Make
They
this
got
an
to start
official
building
prediction.
it now. The only interaction they had was in the Rumble, nothing else.
They did, but I feel like the company thinks that Cargill is such a big star outside of the universe and Bianca Belair is such a big star in the universe that they probably don't need to. That this is what the video package is going to be before the match. It's going to be each one of them talking separately crap about the other one, and then a slow shot of the stare down at Royal Rumble.
Yep.
And that's going to be all the heat that you need because it's going to be mid-card. Neither one of them has the belt. Hey, guys, take 10 minutes, 5 minutes each for your entrances. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's... But, yeah, that's what I'm saying right now. As long as both of them are healthy, that's guaranteed a match. Because I don't really know what's going on with Jade Cargill. I don't know how you don't use her if she's healthy.
Yeah.
I don't know how you don't use her if she's healthy. So, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Our 49th episode. We are nearing 1 year. I'm getting excited. Please check out WWB Gauntlet. Check it out. We are on Instagram and we are on these YouTube too, right? Yeah,
Yep.
They post on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook at Wrestling with the Business. Check us out on X. We are posting, sharing news, having quips, having arguments as always. Follow us at Wrestle with Biz. And please keep watching. Keep clicking play so that we can keep wrestling with the business.